Before you dive into this wild roller coaster of betrayal, corruption, revenge, and unstoppable karma, hit subscribe, because stories like this don't just entertain, they expose the kind of shocking truth most people never see coming. Get ready. One HOA Karen's petty crusade turned into a disaster that nearly destroyed an entire town, and the fisherman she targeted became the town's unexpected hero. The morning the lake turned gray, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know how wrong until much later, when the entire community would be at my door begging for help, and the same HOA Karen who had spent months harassing me for disturbing the aesthetic harmony of the neighborhood, with my small wooden fishing boat would be crying on her knees confessing to a crime that nearly poisoned all of us. It all began when I moved into Lakeside Ridge, a place known for its pristine water, postcard-perfect homes, and an HOA so strict they measured grass blades with rulers, but I chose it because of the lake, the one place that reminded me of Dad, who had taught me to fish before I even learned to walk, and that lake, calm, deep, quiet, became my sanctuary, except for one problem. Karen, the iron-fisted HOA president who treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom, glaring at anyone who dared to breathe without her approval, and from the first day she saw me carrying my fishing gear, she marched toward me as though she were the sheriff and I the outlaw, barking about, no unauthorized recreational activity, though the bylaws clearly allowed fishing, and when I calmly showed her the printed rules, she snapped the papers from my hand, declared them outdated, and walked away muttering that she'd fix the loopholes, but I ignored her, choosing peace, drifting on the water every sunrise, catching bass and trout as the mist curled like smoke over the surface, until the morning she cornered me on my dock with a clipboard, a fake smile, and a list of warnings, each more ridiculous than the last, accusing me of creating ripples too large, attracting birds, and even causing emotional discomfort to residents who disapproved of fishing, which was basically just her. But things escalated when she barged into the HOA meeting waving photos of me holding a fish, insisting I was ruining the ecology, even though the lake was stocked specifically for fishing, and when the board rejected her latest rule proposal, she glared at me with an expression that chilled my bones and hissed, "If I can't stop you legally, I'll stop you another way." At the time, I brushed it off as standard Karen theatrics, but then subtle warning signs began appearing: dead minnows floating by the shore, an oily sheen in the water, ducks refusing to swim near the shallows, and then the awful stench that appeared overnight, heavy and metallic, making my eyes burn. And when I reported it to the HOA, Karen told me it was just natural algae, and I should stop being dramatic, but my gut screamed otherwise, so I took a water sample myself and planned to send it for testing, though I didn't get the chance, because that very night, while reviewing footage from the trail camera I'd placed near the dock to catch raccoons, my jaw dropped. There she was, Karen, dressed in black like some cartoon villain, dragging two large containers labeled with chemical hazard signs toward the water and tipping them in. I couldn't believe it, so I replayed it again and again, feeling sick as realization hit. She wasn't trying to poison me, or maybe she was, but the lake was also the community's main water source, filtered through underground channels and pumped into every tap, and she either didn't know or didn't care. I stormed into the next HOA meeting with the footage, but before I could play it, Karen accused me of environmental vandalism, claiming I had poisoned the lake to frame her, and the room erupted into chaos until the vice president finally demanded proof from both sides, and when I connected my phone to the projector and the video played, gasps echoed around the room, several board members turning green, and Karen went white as chalk, stammering excuses about weed control and unapproved algae treatment, but it was too late. People rushed out with panic-filled eyes, calling family, checking water bottles at home, and within hours the town's small clinic was overflowing with residents complaining of nausea, dizziness, and rashes. Emergency services shut down the entire neighborhood's water supply, and the county launched an investigation, discovering that the chemical Karen had dumped, an industrial herbicide, had seeped into the filtration lines and spread throughout the community, a contamination that could have been catastrophic if not caught early. And ironically, my habit of fishing at dawn, her number one obsession, was the reason I noticed the signs soon enough to limit the damage. The authorities questioned her, and under pressure, she cracked, admitting she wanted to ruin the lake so no one could fish in it, claiming she thought draining it for HOA-approved renovations would follow, and when officers asked if she knew the lake was connected to the water system, she blinked and said, "Isn't that only for the houses on the lower loop?" revealing the unbelievable truth that she literally had no idea about the infrastructure she was supposed to oversee. The news exploded, cameras swarming the neighborhood as reporters covered the HOA president who poisoned her own community, and neighbors who once glared at me for fishing now apologized with casseroles, cookies, and handwritten letters, thanking me for saving the community from disaster, though what struck me most was when the shy elderly man from the corner house, Mr. Holloway, hugged me with tears in his eyes and said the lake reminded him of his late wife and that without my vigilance, her memory would have died with it. Meanwhile, Karen was arrested and charged with environmental endangerment, reckless contamination, falsifying HOA documents, and obstruction, and when she saw me outside the courthouse, she screamed that I had ruined her life, but I simply told her, "You did that yourself," and turned away. Cleanup teams spent months restoring the lake, dredging the poisoned soil, filtering the water, and rebuilding the natural ecosystem, and during that time, something unexpected happened. The community realized how much they had taken the lake for granted. The place where kids skipped stones, where couples picnicked under willow trees, where families gathered for fireworks on the 4th of July, and they asked me, the fisherman Karen despised, to chair a new advisory committee focused on conservation, and I accepted, because protecting the lake meant honoring Dad, and it meant standing against the kind of arrogance Karen had wielded like a weapon. By the time the lake was declared safe again, spring had returned, and on the morning officials reopened the water, I launched my old wooden boat, the same one Karen had once tried to ban, and as neighbors gathered on the shore cheering, I cast my line, the ripples dancing across a lake that had survived ignorance, malice, and near destruction, and as the sun rose over the water, I felt something deeper than victory, something like justice, renewal, and the undeniable truth that no matter how hard someone tries to poison your peace, nature has a way of coming back stronger. And as the first fish tugged on my line, the crowd erupted in applause, children laughing, parents taking pictures, and I realized the final twist. The woman who tried so hard to stop my fishing had, without intending it, made me the most respected person in the community, the unofficial guardian of the lake, and the reason everyone now understood the value of vigilance, responsibility, and standing up for what matters, even when it means facing down a Karen armed with chemicals, pettiness, and an ego too big to fit inside the HOA's meeting hall.